also heard Mr. Aaron Kahn performing Il Silenzio, composed by Nini Russo in 1964. Thank you once again, Aaron, for this moving performance. Thank you once again. But tonight also marks another important occasion for this Italian Cultural Institute and for the entire Italian community in Los Angeles. In fact, we are honored and proud to welcome our new Consul General of Italy, Antonio Verde, who just started his assignment in Los Angeles. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, and we are confident that your guidance will play a significant role in building up the Italian community.
Quite a responsibility, isn't it? Well, buonasera a tutti, good evening ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to have the opportunity to meet you. And as most of you know, and as we said before, I just arrived in Los Angeles not quite weeks ago. And this evening provides, first of all, a natural occasion to get acquainted. But even more important, this is also a precious opportunity to reflect together on the very contemporary message of a century-old momentous event, the onset of the Great War. The invitation to look beyond the mere anniversary of an event as important as the centenary of the First World War comes from the Italian presidency of the Council of Ministers and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Italy. The opportunity to do so is provided by a movie which today is being shown in over 100 different cities in the world. A movie that we are about to see together. As you well know, a long period of seemingly stable political order came to an end in the summer of 1914, when a domino effect of alliances and regional interest expanded the local conflict to a global dimension, a world war, as German philosopher Ernst Haeckel promptly defined it. Italy entered the war 1 year later, in 1915, and although its conclusion was victorious for us, as you know, the unification of our country was finally complete after the war, the price paid was enormous. Almost 700,000 victims and an entire generation cancelled, lost on battlefields. Overall, the Great War was one of the deadliest conflicts ever. 9 million soldiers, 7 million civilians were killed, 16 million lives were lost. What we want to remember, actually what we must remember, are the sacrifices and hardships and horrors of war, because we must strengthen the appreciation for how precious peace is. And we will not become complacent, distracted, and unaware of its fragility. Going back to the event of the evening, Ermanno Olmi's film Torneranno i Prati, that in English is Greenery will bloom again, is the most recent effort of one of the greatest directors of our time. A movie that follows in the footsteps of masterpieces like The Legend of the Holy Drinker, La leggenda del Santo Bevitore, The Trio of Wooden Clocks, and Singing Behind Screens, among others. By the way, let us send our thoughts with best wishes to Maestro Olmi, who was hospitalized just yesterday. Coming back to Torneranno i Prati, this movie was truly shot on location in northern Italy, close to Asiago, on the Altopiano dei Sette Comuni, was the site of many fierce battles. A place where the two trenches were faithfully reproduced. Its production, the production of the movie, engaged professional actors and local folks, and it's based on the true account of a group of soldiers who, during the night in the trenches, share their personal stories and expectations for the world and for life. It's a celebration of honesty and bravery, and above all, of truth and knowledge of the humanness we all share. As Director Olmi said, we must seek knowledge and truth in history, because if history isn't sincere, how can it be our guide? And with the impact of these words in mind, I'd like to thank you very much for choosing to share this evening with us. Thank you.
And before we start the screening, I would like to invite you to stay with us after the screening. Also, we will have Dr. Nancy Perloff, curator of Modern and Contemporary Collection at the Greenery Research Institute, to present a wonderful upcoming exhibition. And it will be followed by UCLA professors Thomas Harrison and John Agnew, who will share with us some thoughts on this film. So now we can start with the screening. Welcome, Nancy, here on stage.
This exhibition, World War I, and thank you so much, Michaela, for the invitation to come and speak to you very briefly tonight about this exhibition. This exhibition will open at the Getty Research Institute galleries, that's to the right of the Getty Museum, on November 18th, 2014, and it will run through April 19th of 2015. On August 15th, 1914,
Professor Thomas Harrison, chair of the Department of Italian at UCLA, and Professor John Agnew, who currently teaches at UCLA's Department of Italian.
I think one of the great difficulties when you make a film like this, or about the events that this film is representing, is the difficulty of commemorating something and the people who were involved, in distinguishing that from celebrating war. And it's often hard to do that. I think most war films never quite manage to do that. I thought this was really very successful in showing the humanity of the people involved, the Italian side anyway, and the great sort of everyday difficulties that people face, not just in terms of the enemy, but in terms of the surroundings, the setting in which this war took place. I think one of the dominant images, particularly in the English-speaking world and in the French world, is that World War I is having taken place in Flanders. Even the commemorations, you know, the poppies and so on that are worn.
Nothing has remained of the First World War. None of those who lived it, and no one else will again be able to bear witness to it with his own voice, bear witness to all of the pain and the carnage. All that remains are the writings, those of the literary people and those of the most humble, where truth is not obstructed by rhetoric. And this gave me the idea to read you a poem or two, if I may, from A Soldier on the Front.